big foul there from the Austrian athlete. She's super experienced, Hudson, so I don't know, perhaps there's a kind of something going on, conditions down there, causing kind of wayward throws like that. Next up will be Mackenzie Little. 55.74 in the first round. She was kind of really looked like she liked that. That won't be an improvement on her 55.74. Frustrated smirk, I think, there, rather than actually finding it funny. She's probably very frustrated. Tried a different technical cue that didn't quite work. So Mackenzie Little, no improvement, 52 metres and 34. And these qualification groups, they go round so fast. We're halfway through this already. There's only 3 rounds. 2016 Olympic champion Sara Kolak of Croatia is under a lot of pressure here as well. Switch coaches to Andras Thorkildsen. He knows a thing or two about chucking the javelin. Oh, and that was not an intentional foul. We see these throwers foul intentionally sometimes, and that was not intentional from Kolak. 2 fouls, 1 attempt left.
Well, you know what? When you are so experienced, when you've taken a gold medal from the Rio Olympic Games, a little slip on that left foot there. Yeah, the spike's not biting in, and that's why the right foot just dips over the line there, and it's a foul throw. But it's a bit like, you know, it's almost a bit like a sprinter, no starting. You've got to get it right. I remember Colin Jackson used to say, just wait for the gun, go on the B of bang. Don't go on the gap before the bang. And for these throwers, they have got to get a throw out there in the first 2 rounds. Otherwise, they're under huge pressure, and Kolak has 2 no throws. Here's the Finn, Erkala, Sanne Erkala, 52.04 in the first round. And that is no better. Dear oh dear, she's down in 10th place at the moment. And if we were to split the 2 groups and say the seeding's been done well, 6th place is De Lima of Brazil with 57.13. At the moment, she threw that in the first round. She had a no throw in the second round. So at the moment, the cut-off might be around 57, 58 metres, which is incredibly modest. But they are struggling out there for whatever reason to get beyond that 60-metre line.
Erkala, in the end, being given a very small foul. We can see on that slow-mo. I think her toe did just pop over the line. Fuchs, 55 metres and 18. She knows she needs more. Annika Fuchs, European under-23 champion in 2019. That age group, so useful in the European circuit for just developing our athletes. Nice buffer between under-20 and senior. And Fuchs took full advantage of that a couple of years ago. Can she deliver here on the global senior stage? That's a lot better. Annika Marie Fuchs be adding some metres onto her 55.18 for the first round. She's got over 60 metres though this season, as so many of these women have, and they're just not managing to recreate that form here at Hayward Field.
Well, we're most of the way through this second round now. And, still just the one athlete over the 60-metre line, and she went beyond the 62-metre 50 qualifying line. That was Liveta Jaisunaite of Lithuania, 63.80. She stands as the best of the group by a huge margin. Fuchs is the second best. That second round effort there, 59.36. So some 4.5 metres better than anybody, Jaisunaite. She really caught a good one. Here's Momono Ueda of Japan, 47 metres her opener, really modest, very heavily strapped that left knee. She's throwing, no doubt about it, with a huge handicap in terms of that left knee injury, which is being protected, and she's limping badly, and this is not looking good for the Japanese. What a shame. Against the white flag. But 47.36 her opener. She's down in 11th place. That's 50.70, but stays in 11th place. Finds another 3 metres and more, but no improvement in position.
So impressive from Ueda here. You could see the pain as she walked out, and she's doing everything she can to protect that left leg. Grimacing. It's almost like she had to stop throwing, 2 meters miles away from the line there because she knew she was going to have a really hard job to stop her momentum. Brave throwing there for the Japanese athlete to add 3.5 meters to her best. And we talk about champions, we talk about medals, but so many of these athletes are desperate to represent their country. They would have fought so hard to get qualifying marks to get themselves here to Eugene, and Ouida at the moment just battling through what must be intense pain. She can barely change the flex in that knee. Straightening or bending it just seems like it's beyond her at the moment. She does have one more throw. She has gone over 61 metres this season. I'd be surprised if that was with that strapping on though. Elizabeth Gleedle's next. Grew up doing baseball. Dan O'Brien was telling us that was his background in javelin throwing, and that influenced his grip on the javelin. I think it was a V grip. I think that's what I've seen Elizabeth Gleedle here. Just resting the javelin in between her index finger and her middle finger, much like you'd throw a baseball. Gleedle foul in the first round. She hit it over to the right-hand side of the sector, and that's much better over 60 metres. That could put Gleedle in second place in this group overall. Good response from the Canadian under pressure.
And that celebratory raising of the arms, Hannah, is very clear indication that all these athletes know, all these throwers know that these are tough conditions, the big distances are hard to come by, and that one pumped out well beyond 60 metres, only about 2 metres shy of the automatic qualifying line, is celebrated as though she's gone well beyond it.
Well, it's the chance, I always think the chance to progress through the rounds and experience a World Championship environment more than once is so important for our athletes. So 60 metres and 38, that's great from Gleedle. So she's representing her country well here and potentially giving herself a chance of doing that again on Friday. And that's almost double the experience as you move through your career as well.
Cara Winger is next to go, and she gets the crowd behind her. She says, come on, I'm at home. Give me that home advantage that my teammates have enjoyed and really lapped up and benefited from over the last 5 days. This is day 6. Winger, 58.12 in the first round. That might prove to be enough, and the support worked. It was worthwhile, that gesture to the crowd, saying, come on, give me some support, get behind me. She was in 4th place with that 58.12 prior to that second round throw, and that's a superb effort. That's beyond 60. 60.38 by Gleedle, remember, in the previous throw. That's the second best of the day, and she might have gone beyond that. 61.30 from Cara Winger, second best of the day. Gleedle's 60.38 is the third best, and surely that will be good enough. I can't see any less than 3 or 4 from this A group going through, even if conditions do improve for the B group in an hour or so's time.
Good throw from Cara at winger, and you can see her just watching the replay up on the screen as well, using that analysis, that camera angle to kind of guide her final throw, because she will still do another throw. She's not over the automatic mark of 62 metres and 50, so you will see Cara Winger, I'm sure, take another throw. You wouldn't gamble, you wouldn't bother. You'd see if you could add anything to your total. So to complete the second round will be Ariana Ince, USA, 57.17 in the first round. And in the first round, that looked pretty good. As we've moved through the second round, those women just getting up and beyond that 60 metre mark. Ariana Ince will have to find a little bit more. She's got one more chance to do it. Ince was second at USA's. So established performer. US Championship, so cutthroat. It's the silver medalist from there. I'm sure she would hope to make this one.
Well, no improvement from Ince. The Americans, of course, have so much strength in depth in just about every discipline. They can afford to have the philosophy at their championships, their domestic championships before the Olympics and the Worlds, that they just take the first 3 across the line. That's it. Doesn't matter if you've got a cold that day or a little niggle or injury from the few days previously. Make the first 3 and you enter the team. If you don't, tough luck. Many great names in years gone by have dominated for an Olympic cycle, 3 years of an Olympic cycle, not got it right in the day at their trials and never made an Olympic team. That from Zengo, who lies in 9th place, 57-12, and a no throw for her, so she's in real trouble, the Greek, and that's a shame. Zengo, the world number 3, I think is unlikely to go through with that. I'd love to be wrong, but the world number 3 who's thrown 65.5 metres this year can do no better on the day than 57.12. She's lost about 8 metres from what she's been capable of on another occasion this year. Dear oh dear, how frustrating for her.
It's a big shock there for me. Zengo, she looked so good winning in Ostrava. That was a super competitive competition. Lots of the top women were entered into that. Zengo really, for me, announced herself on the senior stage winning there. But I do not think it will be a final for the Greek athlete. De Lima, 57-13 in the first round. Foul in the second. Brazilian down in 8th place at the moment. She wants to add a few metres, and that's not going to do it. There won't be any improvement for De Lima of Brazil. It's notably Zara Kolak of Croatia with no mark. So De Lima in 8th place at the moment, and it could only get worse, as that was her 3rd and final round effort. Two-time South American bronze medalist. Couldn't quite match her season's best form coming in. You can see that frustration coming out there.
Well, the 3rd round unfolds. De Lima, I think we will see no more of. 57-13. And Liu Hui next to go. 53 metres are open to the Chinese. And then 57, her 2nd round effort. Dan, any change of conditions down there? Has the wind picked up? Or, that was obviously a much better throw by Kara Winger.
Yeah, Tim, the conditions actually have picked up. They're getting a more steady headwind now. Any javelins that go really high, as soon as they start to come down, they're going to just get pushed right down to the ground. So I think Kara Winger's strategy of keeping that javelin just a little bit lower, and the javelin, the far throws that we've seen today, all of them from the automatic qualifier and down through those top 4 have all been low line drive throws. So that certainly seems to be the formula. And I think, I can see the frustration on some of these athletes' faces, but guys, it's a great day. You've got your friends and family in the stands here. There's no reason why you shouldn't come back here, come down to the back of the runway and just give it a rip. These athletes seem like they're just a little bit showing a little bit of hesitancy here early on in the session.
And I'd agree with Dan there. Everyone looks a little bit tense, a little bit nervous. And it's so hard, qualification, whether you're a favourite or someone just trying to outperform your rankings, it's stressful. There's a lot more to lose than to gain. Devastating for the athlete like Zengo, for instance, not making that final. That pressure would have been immense for her as she moved through these rounds. Palamika of Latvia is throwing next. She's in 5th place at the moment. They have said that is just in the sector by a whisker. Foul in the first round. She went out the other side of the sector, then did at 58 metres and 2 centimetres. Could be a tiny bit further, perhaps, for Palamika. 58 metres and 61 on my computer, so she's added 60 centimetres. It's not changed her position in this group. She's still in 5th, but that could be very important as we combine the 2 pools later this evening.
So an athlete next up who's in real trouble, the Austrian Victoria Hudson. No throw in the first round, no throw in the second round. Palamika in 5th place. She knows she's going to be right on the cusp of what might be good enough for the final. 48 hours and more until the final on Friday evening. It's at 6:20, that final. Here is Hudson. Now, the Austrian, 64.5 metre thrower, has thrown nearly 62 metres this year. 4 times the Austrian champion. The national record. She's actually got an English father as Hudson, hence the name. And she doesn't really like that one, and that's below 55 metres again. It's a legal throw, but it will have her well down the field. No, it'll have her down there around 9th or 10th, something like that at best. In fact, yeah, probably about 10th or 11th. And I fear that might be the end of her championships. What a shame.
It's 54 metres and 5 centimetres. And Tim, when both of us come from an endurance background and we talk about the advantage of being in the later heats, you know what happened in the first heat. You can perhaps gauge your timing, gauge your effort. I wonder if there'll be any coaches or maybe even the athletes in the second group watching this unfold and whether they'll learn lessons in these conditions, you know, whether it is working, leaving the javelin a little bit lower, as Dan indicated, but they almost get a head start on that decision making as they've watched this first group struggle to kind of hit their stride.
Well, it's strange, isn't it? Because, I mean, these athletes are all very experienced. They will have thrown in all sorts of conditions, and you think they would know to take a chance to get their heads around the conditions. Dan, some very disappointed ladies out there, I'm sensing.
Absolutely, Tim. And you talk about the advantage of being in the second group as the Australian puts one out there. There's so much that is going on, I guarantee you, on the practice track right now. The coaches are watching the competition. They're going to relay that to the athletes coming up in the second group, and they're going to know exactly what they need to do. I always think that that's a great position to be in. It could even inspire some of the athletes who haven't had really long throws this season, knowing and understanding, you know, it might only take 58 meters, 59 meters to get through to the finals. So this first group, you know, slagging just a little bit could really inspire somebody from the second group.
So what you're saying, Dan, is that, of course, it's not possible, as we see Little's third round effort, 59.06, the best of her efforts so far, so 5th place. What you're saying is that in the ideal world, you'd have both groups throwing simultaneously, and that's obviously just impractical with the dimensions of the stadium.
Well, and it's just the nature of the javelin. You know, sometimes you have 2 shot put rings, 2 long jump, 2 triple jump, but in the hammer circle, discus ring, and the javelin, only one group can go at a time. Trust me, I wish that there were 2 groups going in the decathlon from time to time, but yeah, it's just absolutely inevitable. But we see this a lot in championship competition as well as, you know, especially college. You got 7, 8, 9 heats of the 200 meters, and it's only a timed final. So we see that in the world indoors, as a matter of fact. So I always think it's an advantage to be in that second group.
Sarah Kolak, the 2016 Olympic champion, 3 fouls. That's the second big casualty in this opening group for me. And, you know, athletes like Dan was saying in Group B are inspired that it might not take as far as they anticipated to make this final. Also, watching the likes of Sarah Kolak and Alina Sengo exit, well, you know, you're pretty sure that would be not enough to get Sengo through, and certainly Sarah Kolak with 3 fouls. They're going to be inspired by that as well. Sane Urkala of Finland has got one more chance. She's on 52 metres and 4 centimetres in the first round. And then what was a pretty small foul. The throw wasn't massive. Might have been big enough, what we've seen, but Urkala of Finland. One more attempt. Body language doesn't look good there. Below 50 metres. So it will be a 12th place finish for Sane Urkala.
It's goodbye to her as well, no doubt about that. 52 metres her return from the nation where javelin throwing is pretty much the national sport, almost a religion. They so love throwing the spear in Finland. It's a huge disappointment for Sane Urkala. So, they have to move on. The 28-year-old will come back another time. I'm sure she'll be throwing in Munich at those European Championships in a few weeks' time. Fuchs next to go, though. Now, Annika Marie Fuchs, a legendary name in German javelin throwing circles. Her mother, of course, threw for the GDR many, many years ago. Born in Cottbus, the old East Germany. Second in the German Championships recently with 57 metres, but she is a 63.5 metre thrower at her best. Now Fuchs, 55 metres in the first round, 59 in the second round. Another metre or 2 would do very nicely. And it's about 51. You can see it below the automatic qualifying mark there, but she has thrown 59. She's in 4th place. She might well be safe. Very early days yet to say that, with the entire B group yet to come out.
That looks so much more aggressive and quick of Annika Fuchs. Perhaps a little bit too much. It's not just about trying harder, you've got to try correctly. The margins in these technical events are so fine. She did intentionally foul that Fuchs. She saw it going down the field and tapped her foot over the line because it wasn't going to improve on her 59 metres and 36. Mone Ueda, 13th place at the moment, a Japanese athlete. And I wonder, so tentative with this knee. You might think if she's been protecting it in the opening 2 rounds that we might see her just give it everything in this last round, but I don't think she can. She looks in incredible pain. She tries to slam the brakes on at the throwing line. Managing to stay on her feet this time. That won't be any improvement on the 50 metres and 70. Let's hope Mone Ueda can get her injury under control as we look towards those World Championships in Tokyo in a few years' time. It's great to see them awarded at the start of this Championships.
Do you know what, considering she's throwing with such a heavily strapped knee, I don't think I've ever seen a thrower in all my years of commentating with such a heavily strapped knee and clearly in so much discomfort. So to throw 50 metres 70 in the second round with that much of a disadvantage is sterling work, but she does, I'm afraid, finish down in 13th place. That is definitely her World Championships over and done with. She's made a good effort of it. 47 metres, 50-70 her best, and then 49-51 her closing effort.
Gleadle foul in the first round. Javelin landing just outside the sector. 60 metres and 38 in her second, so really good response from the Canadian. Not over that automatic qualifying mark of 62 metres and 50. But third in this group so far. Enjoying the music, looking like she's enjoying the music, enjoying the atmosphere. And it is starting to get nice and lively down there. Gleadle, one last attempt to see if she can get over 60 metres, maybe even over that automatic qualifying mark of 62 and 50. That looks a bit safer, looks a bit like her first round attempt, that for me. I expect she's going to step over the line and not get that measured. Yet we can see the red flag there, so she will finish the 60 metres and 38, but third place overall in the group.
Well, that should be safe enough. Just one decent effort is all it takes. The best so far, if you joined us in the last few minutes, was right in the first round of this A group of the Javelin qualifying for the women. 63.80 by Lithuania's Liveta Jaisionaite, and that was beyond the 62.50 automatic qualifying mark. The only athlete to have that lovely big capital Q beside her name in our computer system. Gleadle stays in third place, but that is probably, fingers crossed, enough for the Canadian. Now, next to go, Cara Winger of the USA. Each round, and these are the final 2 throws coming up. Each round is closed by Cara Winger and then her teammate Ariana Ince. Winger next to go. She's in second place. She's almost certainly safe. 58.12 her opener, then 61.30. Can she find a bit more inspiration? No, she can't. No, that one's down around 55. But I think she has done enough. Second best throw of the day in the second round. So many factors to be chain linked together in this very, very technically demanding event. Timing, absolutely critical. Angle of attack of that spear, and Dan O'Brien's been talking from the infield about how the best throwers seem to be keeping a fairly low trajectory so that it doesn't go up high and the wind above the scoreboard coming into the arena. You can see that scoreboard left to a picture. Wind coming over that gets under the spears, and then as the nose dips, it presses the nose down and they drop dead and compromises the distance. But Winger there, 54.86, the best of her the worst of her series, but I think she's good. Second overall.
Ariana Ince, the last athlete to throw in this Group A of the women's javelin. She's in 8th place at the moment, 57 metres and 17. I don't think that's going to, it might be a tiny improvement on her 57 metres from the opening round. We say maybe, when we're here in the stadium in Hayward Field, and some of these javelins, as they do soar high, you do almost feel they're hitting a bit of a wind and the nose just dips down. They've been halted in their tracks almost, and a bit of frustration there for Ariana Ince. It is a slight improvement, 57 metres and 24 centimetres, but she stays in 8th place in this group. Thumbs down from United States Ince.
Yeah, I think with the throws generally having been fairly modest in this opening group, if you're outside the top 6, you're pretty optimistic if you expect to make the final. I'd love to be wrong, but then there's a whole second group yet to come out. They'll be out, by the way, at 4:50 local time, so in about 45 minutes from now. Not quite sure why such a long gap between the two groups, but anyway, the leading thrower, the first thrower in the B group, will actually be the 3rd longest thrower in history, Maria Andrzejczyk of Poland. Has been in great form this year, but she's a 71-metre thrower at her best. The 60-metre line has been the challenge for the vast majority of these ladies, the 14 athletes in this A group of the javelin. And there's more than a few of them leaving the arena now for the first and last time, and I will be well disappointed. Dan, your overall impression of this A group in the women's javelin?
A little lethargic, guys. It was a slow start. We saw some of the better throws on that second round, and once some of the throws got out there, everybody started bearing down just a little bit. But the wind had picked up. Got to keep the javelin low. But I'm with you guys. The conditions out here could completely change in 45 minutes time or an hour time. But it's no different than playing the same golf course in the morning versus playing the same golf course in the afternoon. Conditions are just going to change. You have to be ready for it. If conditions were to change worse, who knows? Maybe a 57-meter could get into the finals.
Maybe. So, the cut-off then was 6th place in that group, was 58.61 by Balamaiko of Latvia. 7th, 57.59. So we're looking possibly at around a 57.5, 58 metres as being the pivot, the distance that you need to get over the two groups, but let's wait and see. We might see some spectacular throws back.